I don't know, maybe they found the situation funny, but yeah, it...
Probably on YouTube on a video. Look at these tourists, the proper like underpant
yeah.
swimming trunks. So I think they're called budgie smugglers, but
yeah. You get the full perspective of... And we took a walk to the waterfall, and we realised we had waterfalls. We had our own waterfalls. And then we went to the orchard and we saw all the fruit trees, and we realised, oh my God, we've got an orchard. We had decided we wanted to move to France, but we had no idea where.
oh, so we got a caravan.
Let's take a step back though. Why did we get the caravan? Because
we got the caravan so we could do a mini kind of tour of France where we thought we wanted to investigate and spend a little bit of time looking at each area. So a farm with land, 20 acres, 30 acres, that's what we had in our minds. So yes, we got the caravan to do the tour.
we were doing that for budget though, weren't we? Because
yeah. Yes.
It was 6 weeks. We'd already sold the business. So this was, we sold the business in May of 2019. And it then became a real, you know, our income had stopped. No, we didn't have an income anymore. So it was a real sense of urgency to go, okay, we've got to make this happen as soon as possible. And we'd only just put our house on the market 3 or 4 weeks before we sold the business. Yeah. Again, we were going from straight from one thing to another. There was no kind of, oh, we've retired, let's sit back for a few months. Nothing. It was just like, okay, this is what's going to happen. So, and because of budget, we said, well, 6 weeks in France, 5 of us 2 and 3 children, that's going to be a lot of money. To
spend in hotels or bed and breakfasts.
Yeah.
So we got the caravan to reduce costs.
We thought it'd be exciting as well.
Thought it'd be exciting.
Going on a large camping holiday, tour in France, and some bits were really good, weren't they?
Some bits are fun.
Some bits are good, but kind of thought about it. It was about the week before we were about to go. We were getting ready, and I was like, oh, the temperatures, Julian, are just going to be absolutely sky high. You know, we knew we wanted to be in the south of France, didn't we? For the weather, for the climate.
Well, but from the middle of France, from about Carrez downwards, so from mid France.
Yeah.
Probably in like a triangle.
Yeah. Coast,
the west coast,
Aquitaine, Dordogne, etc. down there.
And going round to, I can't remember where it was now.
Well, you've got all the Pyrenees departments, so you've got Haute-Pyrénées, and then Pyrenees Atlantic, Haute-Pyrénées, Haute-Garonne, which is where we are. We're right in the middle of the bottom of France. The first department we really looked at was Carrez, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was not very highly populated, very forested, one of the cheapest areas in France, I think, which was a bonus with the budget. So we thought, okay, we'll start with Carrez, and it's just kind of below the centre, isn't it? First time we'd ever driven, or you'd ever driven a caravan, wasn't it? What was that like?
The van's about 4.5 metres, I think, and then you've got an 8-metre caravan, so you're probably looking about 2 or 3 metres smaller, or maybe 3 or 4 metres smaller than an Arctic.
When you put it like that, I love a neck.
Yeah, because when we parked up in the services in England, I used to park in the articulated truck parks, and an Arctic parked next to us, and there wasn't a great deal of difference between our van and caravan compared to the Arctic. So yeah,
we ended up, I don't know which department it was, but we ended up on our way to somewhere. We were towing the caravan, and then we went down this country road. It asked us to turn right, so we turned right, and we literally nearly ended up with a caravan in a ditch. You stopped just in time. That was really, really scary, that was, because we were literally 2 inches away from, was it the back wheels or the caravan just literally going into the ditch?
No, it was the van was probably about that much over with the left tyre over hanging a ditch, and then because it wasn't the 90-degree turn, which would have been pretty easy to do. It was more like a sharp bend that went back on itself.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you had the problem that it was a really narrow road or track, and you got farmers' ditches on either side.
Yeah.
And the caravan, luckily the caravan is twin axle, so we've got 4 wheels. But at one point we had one of the wheels hanging over the ditch, and then we had to do a bit of,
I was so scared.
To-ing and fro-ing to...
I was really scared. And then the pressure was on because we had 2 locals came either side.
Yeah.
I think it would have been so comical if you'd have seen it, because I'm sure they were both in little Citroen CVs as well. At least one of them was in a little Citroen CV white van. And they didn't do anything to help or get out, you know, and that's not our experience with French people. I think if we'd been here, then someone would have, I don't know, they just sat and waited, didn't they, for us to manoeuvre, sort ourselves out. I don't know, maybe they found the situation funny, but yeah,
probably on YouTube on a video. Look at these tourists making a mess of the...
Yeah, and then that wasn't the fun and games ended with the caravan as well, but yeah, maybe another. Just outside Paris, we had a day at Disneyland Paris, but we had 2 or 3 nights at this campsite, and it had a lake, a lac, and it was really nice weather, and it was just beautiful, wasn't it, to be just on the outskirts of Paris, but almost felt like a beach-like setting. And I think that was the first time I started to relax then. I was like, oh, this could be quite nice. The kids are happy, we're going to Disneyland Paris, and it felt like we were on holiday. The French do this every single year, like caravanning and camping is their #1 holiday pastime. And I think we realised this because we saw how busy the campsites were, and a lot of it was French, and well, a lot of European nationalities, but a bulk of the people were French, weren't they? Yeah.
Quite a lot of Dutch as well, but
yeah, we met quite a few Dutch people, didn't we? In fact, it was a little chateau campsite, wasn't it? Called Domaine de la Millaret, or 100 acres.
No, I think 100 hectares.
100 hectares, and this gorgeous little chateau. I think, was it 2 days or 1 day before Bastille Day?
Yes.
And we'd just come back from...
I think it was a day, wasn't it? The day that we...
Yeah, you're right.
The day that we landed, in inverted commas, at the campsite.
Yeah.
Say, when Leanne says a little campsite, it was a little campsite, but they had a lot of wood.
Yeah.
Because 100 hectares is quite a big...
But it was a really nice atmosphere. It was run by a Dutch guy, wasn't it? And you know, I always remember what he said to us. He said, I don't think you should be relying on estate agents to find your house. He said, you're going to end up finding it by speaking to the locals. So more on that later. But it was just beautiful, and it was... but what we did do is we got our first taste of Bastille Day, which was amazing how the French celebrate Bastille Day, and it's literally the French Independence Day to the local lake, because it's Bastille Day tonight, and there's going to be fireworks. So we expected some just like kind of little village fireworks. Wow. They were fireworks, weren't they?
They were really good.
And they had a rock concert on as well, didn't they? With a French band that we've kind of got into as well. We ended up buying their album and everything, and just a fantastic evening. Basically towards the east.
Right.
And you don't remember, do you?
No.
And that's when things really started getting hot. We were getting towards, that's just above the department of Hérault, or Hérol, and which is in just on the border of the Mediterranean. You've got some coastline in that department, and the campsite there was beautiful. Again, gorgeous pool. It's where And we also got our first taste of how the French love to stick to rules. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember it now, yeah.
Yeah, that young guy at the pool.
Yeah.
It's a rule that you have to have proper swimming trunks on in France. You can't have a sort of like boxer shorts swimming. Even if they're proper swimming shorts, you're just not allowed to wear them at swimming pools.
No, it's the baggy. If you're wearing baggy, like Bermuda swimming pants, they won't allow that. You have to have the proper, like, underpant
Yeah.
swimming trunks. So I think they're called budgie smugglers, but
I'll go and change, and the campsite owner or whoever it was like, no, that's it, you're just not allowed in. And then him and his friends literally, and they were in their 20s, their early 20s, it's not like they were teens or anything, they all had to vacate and weren't allowed back in. He did a bit of river walking there, and got bit.
Yeah, horse flies and
That wasn't, it was a nice experience, but it wasn't.
Well.
Yeah, so we, and there is a lot of natural swimming in France, isn't there? There's not, they don't mind where they swim, so whether it's the rivers, the lakes, or the sea, or we're getting more towards the east and south, because you're in close proximity to Provence and the Mediterranean. Things were getting a lot more expensive. You could kind of afford the property, but not property that came with land. So we then had actually booked a week at a really nice campsite, and that was supposed to be our official holiday. It was a really nice campsite, but it was by that time it was August.
Was that on the coast?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's when we were near Béziers. Béziers, it's a beautiful little city, that, isn't it? And that's where we went. We saw the light show. Remember all the light and water show, and then we went up in the carousel, not the carousel, what do they call it? The wheel, the Ferris, like a big massive Ferris wheel. Here we are on the Ferris wheel at Les Béziers. Yes. Hello, Bobby. Bobs. Later. Oh, we're going. We're going. Nous sommes allés. We're going all the way up. We're going to go up to the top. This is so high up. Hello. Hi. Right, we're going to look out at all the scenery. Oh, wow, this is really high. We're nearly up to like the... Woo! Okay, Julian.
Oh wow, look at that!
Oh
Castle.
Yeah, look at the castle over there. We had some really, really nice meals out as well, and it was so hot, the temperatures were really nice. We found out, I'm sure it was, we found out a few days before we came to see this that we'd sold our house, because our house was for sale, and after it had been on the market in about 6 weeks, that's when we came to France. We left it in the hands of the estate agent. Our cleaner was helping showing people round because he wasn't available. It was absolute chaos. And then what we ended up happening was 2 people bidding for the house, which we'd really struggled to start off with to sell the house, because we actually had a view of our local power station as well, and people were viewing the house online and things, and we had to change the photo so you could actually see that in one of them there was a power station, because people were literally getting the brochure going, oh my god, this is amazing, da, 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 and then seeing the power station and going, oh, but if it wasn't for the power station, we're like, it's coming down.
Although it's not.
Although it's not coming down. That's another story. So anyway, really we're interested in looking at, which was Ariège. And Ariège is known to be quite a bohemian department. A lot of permaculture people, a lot of artisans. Very, very near the Pyrenees. And it's just beautiful, isn't it? And we looked at some nice properties in Ariège. However, what I felt is that the weather, even in summer, was really changeable. I mean, our campsite, we were in this tiny little valley, but the mountains were, that literally the Pyrenees, the start of the Pyrenees mountains, were just as close as those there, weren't they? And it felt to me a bit, I don't think oppressive is the word, but suffocating. You had a lot of mist and drizzle a lot of mornings, even in the summer, and by the afternoon it was heating. We started looking at Haute-Garonne, which is where we've ended up purchasing, and we would drive the sort of hour to hour and 20 minutes to go and look at the houses, and the further away you got from the Pyrenees, you see the temperature on the dashboard just ticking up. So over the space of half an hour, the temperature difference could change from sort of like 5 to 8 degrees. And it became more the weather that we associated with France in summer, or we wanted to be with France in summer. And also the land. The land in Ariège, again, was just so steep, wasn't it?
It was.
We realised that we didn't want to be that close, for the weather I would say, but that close to the Pyrenees. That's not to say we don't think it's a great area, because for me, it's got a lot of plus points, particularly if you're wanting to, like, you know, you would have been in your element cycling there, wouldn't you? And would have absolutely loved
Skiing
it.
as well.
Skiing, yeah, but it is an hour away, and as we proved this winter when we went, it's easily accessible for days out as well. And all this time we were dealing with estate agents, and some of them were really good, as with any profession, but what people don't probably realise when they start house hunting in France is a lot of estate agents, it isn't actually their main job. You get some of them where it's just a part-time vocation for them. So you, particularly in summer as well, there's this whole, if you're house hunting in August, it can be very difficult, because in August the whole of France, unless you are a tourism business, pretty much shuts down. The land we were looking at was certainly around the most southern part of France. It wasn't just, it was hard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was hilly. What ended up happening was we were about 4 weeks I think into the 6 weeks, and we came to this area where we are now, and then we went into Lille-en-Dordogne, which is our closest town, for something to eat.
So we chose a cafe, we sat down just talking. I think we ordered the food, couple and another lady, but the lady from the couple turned around and said, "Oh, don't mind me being so rude, but can I ask, are you English?" So I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" So we said, "Oh, we're looking for a home." I said, "Oh, I know somebody who's got a house for sale. It's a chateau." And I thought, "Oh."
And we went, no,
it's not.
not
It'd be too much for us. We won't be able to afford that. It'd be out of our budget. So no, I'll call him.
She says, what type of house are you looking for? And she went onto a real sales pitch, because we said, well, we were looking for houses with land, but we can't find the land we want. The land is the most important thing to us, really, or a big part of the equation. And she said, "Oh, the Chateau's got land." And we were like, "We can't afford a chateau. It's just not on our radar." And she's like, No, let me get the guy down and he'll show you." We were like, and our food had not even come, had we? So we really didn't have it. She was like, no, I'm gonna. And to cut a long story short, the gentleman, the owner, came down to the cafe after we'd finished our meal, and we didn't go back with him that day, did we?
No, we did.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
We went back with him. So we went back with him that day to see the chateau, and the rest, as they say, is history. And still don't know really how we ended up buying a chateau. I really, they say fate intervenes, and we're not quite at that point yet where we can just say, like when we met each other and say it was fate. We've not got that rose tinted kind of, but it was the setting. You can't, I mean, it did grab us, the setting, didn't it? It was nothing like we could have ever imagined owning in the UK. You know, if you haven't seen our video, the Toulouse road trip, right at the end of that, we bring you down what was the old Chateau road, and we haven't got a neighbour for like a kilometre. We're surrounded by 30 acres. It's just beautiful.
Well, more actually, 30 acres
well, yeah,
of our
30
land,
acres of ours, but
farmers that have got,
yeah.
I think it's 100 acres.
Yeah, it probably is. And because originally with the Chateau there was 60 hectares, I think, as an estate. And we saw it in August, so it was in the height of summer, and so none of the problems, which we'll get into in a future video perhaps, were visible. And a dream started, an excitement started of, oh, well, we wanted some kind of tourism income. We could have the chambre d'hôte, we could open up a little the campsite, which you're allowed to camp in La Ferme, because that's the plan, to open up as an agriculture. And the ideas started forming. Then it was like, oh God, but it's at the top of our budget. And I mean, do you remember when we came to look to the house at the second time, and that's when they showed us the grounds, and we took a walk to the waterfall, and we realised we had waterfalls, we had our own waterfalls. And then we went to the orchard and we saw all the fruit trees, and we realised, oh my God, we've got an orchard. And then we saw all the old oaks and the cork oaks and the pines, and oh, I just fell in love. As I was walking around and seeing all these different elements and how all these acres and all these sections of the grounds interacted with each other, mentally I was already planning the garden. I saw the horses in where we have the kitchen garden now, which they used as a paddock, and I saw the walled area around, and I thought, microclimate, that's got to be the kitchen garden. Every bit was just, I was mentally processing, and I was doing the permaculture course at the time, and I was looking at the aspect of the sun and where it is, and already figuring out what was north, what was south, and that was it. It was done. It was a done deal for me. The Chateau, I didn't fall in love with it. Neither of us did, I don't think, to start off with, but we fell in love with the grounds, and the Chateau's grown on us. But seeing those waterfalls and seeing the orchard, and the ground was flat. It was the first time we'd hit the nail on the head with how many acres we wanted, and the space that we had. It was just unbelievable. And that's it. I fell in love. And it was like, oh God, but it's at the top of our budget, and that was it, you know. So we didn't find it through an estate agent. We found it by sitting in a cafe. Mm-hmm. And
perchance another person who was English, who owned a holiday home in Lille, was there having lunch with a friend. And
by her intervention, damn you, Josette. We ended up buying a chateau, and while we were here, we came back to see it once more. And you get the full perspective of. Don't do that. You'll only have to walk down and get him, won't you? There's an electric heater down there. If we take one of the settees goes there. I think that did have something to do with it as well, because we also thought, oh my gosh, we're going to be homeless. Yeah. And then when we found the chateau, we stopped looking. We didn't look at any more properties. We made an offer, and we literally went back to the UK. And I think we'll leave it there. Mm-hmm. Tell you what happened when we were trying to leave the UK. There's some interesting stories there. And what happened when we were trying to take possession of the chateau, because there's some interesting stories there about it didn't go according to plan. No. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and we really, really appreciate the support.
Thank you.